everyone. We would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land in which we are streaming from today and pay our respects to elders past, present, and emerging. My name is Flynn. I'm hosting today, and we're here with fantastic graphic designer all the way from Toronto, Canada, Anika Aggarwal. Hi, Anika. How are you doing?
Hey Flynn, I'm doing good. How are you?
That's good. Yeah, I'm really good. It's great to be back doing a live stream with you. It's been a little while, so it's
Yeah,
nice to have you
it's
back.
yeah, it's been a minute. I'm excited. It's funny we've interacted so much, but never interacted live. So this is gonna be maybe a roller coaster ride. Did
I
that
know.
rhyme? I'm not sure.
We did some accidental rhyming the stream on Tuesday, so that would be very on brand. But yeah, before we get stuck into it, like I think we were speaking quite a bit. You did some
Yeah.
Adobe MAX sessions. You did
hmm
some stuff for us here in Asia Pacific, and you also did some stuff with the US. So you did so many things around Adobe MAX, yeah, there's some fantastic sessions, and hopefully everybody caught them because I really enjoyed working on that behind the scenes with you.
Yeah, it was an amazing experience. I was really honored that the Max team asked me to speak, and you were one of the people who would actually had faith in me. So I was just excited and like so on board with it. I'm like, yes, let's do a Max talk. So I had like a couple of sessions. The first one was actually Adobe Express, which I really, really love. I'm also an Adobe Express ambassador, so it was
Mm.
quite on point. The second one was actually Adobe InDesign, which is funny because I also host an InDesign show on Adobe Live,
Mm.
the US timing. So it's called Let's InDesign, and it's really fun. I think I had a lot of fun on our Max talks. Both were kind of successful, but I'm yet to get feedback, so I'm not sure. I'm dreading it.
Oh, I'm sure the feedback was great, and it's incredible like seeing InDesign because I get to see the numbers behind it, and InDesign's like crazy numbers. People are
Yeah,
so interested in InDesign at the moment.
yeah.
It's probably one of my least used Adobe apps. Just to throw it out there, I love it. It's so powerful, but I'm just so
Mhm.
amazed at how many people like are just so interested in learning more about it.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's also been my experience. It was just crazy to see because there were like 18,000 people who signed up for the session and 6,000 were watching it
Yeah,
live. And I'm like, what? This is crazy.
That's
Nobody's ever signed up. So my, what?
Yeah, 18,000 is crazy high. So
Yeah.
yeah, well done there. Check it out if you haven't seen it. Obviously, if you want to learn more about InDesign, check that out. So we're going to get straight into it today
Yeah.
because there's a lot to cover. There's never enough time. So we might just jump into sharing your screen. Maybe you could tell everyone just a little bit about yourself before we jump in.
Absolutely. Yeah. This is my website. I am available, like all my links are available here if you guys want to check it out. I am a graphic designer and a branding expert, as people say, based out of Toronto, Canada. And I think that design can change a lot of views and opinions. And also at the same time, marketing is it's a great marketing tool. And it can also be used to manipulate you. So be safe out there.
Right.
That's all I'm gonna say. But I love working with brands and I love working with small businesses, and that's what I do. So if you want to talk to me, just click on this Let's Talk button, and it's just going to redirect you to my email. Also, you accidentally saw my email address, but that's fine. So, yeah, if you want to check out more of my work, you can click on Explore Work. That's going to redirect you there. And if you click on the Max thing here, it's going to redirect you to the Max website where you can check out both my sessions.
Oh, nice.
Um,
Well done.
yeah, yeah. Get that call to action, folks. That's really helpful for personal
Yeah,
branding.
easy click through. Make it as easy for people to find your stuff as
Absolutely.
possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. Let's dive in. I think I want to cover like Illustrator and InDesign today. Maybe a little bit of Express as well because it's been my personal favorite for a few months now.
Mm.
And I just have this really fun. I thought because Thanksgiving in the US is coming up soon, why don't we create something like a Thanksgiving flyer? And while we go through this, we'll cover some of the old and the new. So like best of all, kind of an after party, which will cover most of my favorite features and like new features that I want to incorporate in my workflow more. So yeah, let's dive into it.
Great, let's do it. And of course, as we're here, let us know where you're tuning in from. And if you have any questions as we're going along, we're live. So if you have any questions for Anika or myself while we are rolling, throw your questions in chat in Behance or also on YouTube. Check it out.
Yeah. So I'm gonna start by saying that Adobe Stock is my favorite, not because I use it too much, but because I use it too much. I'm using this Happy Thanksgiving Day turkey with wooden sign and pumpkin. Here's the URL. I'm sure you can see it on your screen. But if you just write Thanksgiving and filter it by vectors, I'm gonna do that really quick here. Just gonna say Thanksgiving, which is obviously my previous search options. I'm gonna select vector, and it's gonna show you all the different vectors here. And you can select perhaps this is a free one, and I want to download this. You can use it. Make sure I always say that make sure to read the licenses. And it says it has a standard license. If you click on the standard button, it's gonna show you how you can use the asset. So always make sure to read these before you actually use any of the assets here.
Mm.
But today we're going to use this. It has a standard or extended license, and I got the extended license. I can change it and also view it multiple times, like the copies. So I went ahead. I think this was the artwork, and I wanted to recolor it. So I just copy pasted it into my file. Wow, that's super big. And then I was just gonna size it down, and I wanted to recolor it. Now, this is one of my really favorite. I don't know, really favorite. This is one of my favorite features that I use all the time, and it's called color recolor artwork. There's also this new little thing called the Discover panel, which is essentially the quick actions. And we have this Discover panel, which has some suggestions over here. We have some hands-on tutorials and some resources. It also has Adobe Live. I think this is a new edition. I did not know about
What?
this.
I didn't know
That's
that.
pretty cool. Yeah, that is pretty cool. If you click on this right now, if you're watching this live, you will see us again on a second.
Does that launch to? We won't do it right now because it might throw
Uh,
some crazy things in the stream. But does that throw it into?
It does.
Look at that.
Nice. Yay.
Oh man,
Okay,
you
I'm gonna
guys
close
check out
it.
that stream. It's awesome. Check it out.
Absolutely. So yeah, it has some quick actions in here which are new, and I think this is perfect for someone just diving into Illustrator and kind of like whenever you're doing something new, you're always thinking about how do I get started, and if this is something that helps you do that, then feel free to go ahead. You can change it to retro text. You can click on the I button just to see how it works, and
Mm.
there are some other related help in here as well, and that goes on for all of these 5 things. And I think these are some of the things that are very very popular in like people who are just starting out or like are not designers and they want to create a neon sign or like a neon effect and are like, hey, how do I do this? And this is probably the most YouTubed thing ever. I don't know, I'm just guessing here,
Yeah.
but yeah, I feel like that's the kind of thing that would be. But one of these quick actions is actually recolor. And if you go on the details, it says that apply random color themes to your artwork and kind of shows you an example. And I feel like this is really cool because the visual aspect of it kind of helps you visualize, hey, this is my current color scheme and this is my possible color scheme. And if I click on it, it's going to change something. And I did click on it. It says action successfully applied. And this is how it looks like. Now, this may not be what you want it to be because you don't have any access to any of the panel settings from here because this is a quick action. So it's just going to do it in a second for you. But I can always hit Command Z and actually go back to my recolor panel, which is under edit. You can go to edit colors and click on recolor artwork, which is essentially over here. Now, a lot of people get kind of confused looking at it like, hey, what are these colors? I don't want this. My hack or the thing that I use the most when I'm doing something like this is essentially making like multiple versions of the same thing just to see what looks better for me. So what I'm going to do is create copies of this guy over here. I'm just going to click Option, Shift, Hold and drag, and that's just going to create copies for me. So I'm not going to retain the original because I already have the Adobe stock file. I don't need it. I don't need a copy. So I'm just going to go in here and find like colors. Have you ever used recolor artwork, Flynn? Do you think it's fun?
I've
What are your
played
thoughts
with
about
it, but I haven't used it
Yeah.
in like an actual workflow yet.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Yeah, I guess that would be it because I don't think you work with a lot of illustrations, do you?
No, exactly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so usually there's like brand guidelines or you
Yeah.
know already a color palette or something. So it's less experimenting with
Yeah.
colors or producing something for myself that I would publish out. But if I
Yeah.
was, this would be a nice quick way to get a whole bunch of variations because that's always something that illustrators definitely want to look at. Like, does it match this color scheme? Like,
Yeah.
getting new ideas for colors. It's better than kind of color picking everything individually, and it takes a long
Yeah.
time. So I can see
Absolutely.
it being valuable to some people.
Yeah, because the kind of colors we have in here is a lot. So I think
Yeah, there's a lot in
that
there, isn't there?
yeah, that is crazy. I didn't even realize it until now.
Just a
But the
turkey.
good thing, just the turkey. The good thing about this is that you have color libraries which are like default in Illustrator. So what you can do is go to art history, which is what I usually do. But you can always go to color books or color properties or even earth tone for that matter, and it's going to change it to the default presets that we have within the application. And with the prominent colors tab right over here, you can change how many colors there are present, or how much percentage value it is present
Mm.
in the illustration or the group that you have selected. And that's going to essentially change how your illustration looks like. So as I'm moving these cursors across, it's changing how much value of that color is present in the group selected. I'm going to reset everything just to, it was just a demonstration. I'm going to select ancient and see how that looks. I think the contrast here much works much better than what it was earlier. So I'm going to leave this be
Mm.
and find a second one and see how that looks. But if there are any questions in chat, I'm happy to answer them.
Can you minimize the amount of colors? Like if you see that many colors in there, is there a way to say, oh, actually, I only want 3 colors?
I don't think so, but
Probably
we can
not.
go to advanced options. You can actually change. So this is the advanced option panel of the recolor artwork, and you can essentially see how many colors we have. So I've never really deleted any colors here, but if you select the same color for multiple color panels that we have, like if I have the same color, it's just going to decrease the number of colors that we have
Right.
in the overall group, right? So let's say we have this bright swatch, and that's that looks funny, but that changed it to the colors that were very similar in hues, to be just one color from the 5 color swatch that we had, the color theme.
Right. Yeah.
And this is also the same color group, and then it changed it to yellow, and then this was similar group, so it changed it to green, and then it just used artificial intelligence to essentially do it, which is what would be the best way to do it. Right over here are options to change saturation and brightness. This is to find them in the artwork and randomly change color scheme. So once you click on this, it's randomly going to assign colors just to see what combination works best for you. Now
It is
this looks
definitely
very
random, isn't it?
yeah, these brights don't really work well for this turkey, but yeah, it's just something to play around with, and I think it's super fun. Once you get the hang of it, you really know how to do it. So especially when it's like something super simple, if it's just like 5 colors, it works really well. But I'm gonna go ahead and select impressionism. Now I see that this color is really taking over, so maybe I want to introduce some values in here. So once I hold and slide this edge to increase and decrease the value or percentage essentially of the color in the group, it changes how that looks, right? So if I reset it and go back to my impressionism, I see that there is no differentiation in the body of this little guy. So I'm just going to decrease this, and now it gives me that kind of contrast a little bit. If I decrease it more, maybe I change the, so this is essentially to show brightness and hue, and this is to change saturation. So I can change the saturation in here as well. Ooh, that actually looks really good. I'm going to leave that be for a second. Yeah. And then we have, this was the original. So just in like 5 minutes or something, we created 3 variations. And this was something that I worked with because I wanted something very earth tones, and like just like a reminder that because this is Thanksgiving, I wanted to be humble and like celebrate life and like just be grounded in where you are. So I just wanted it to be a reminder. I wanted the colors to really say all of that. So yeah, I'm gonna go with that one. Okay.
Nice.
All right. I'm gonna put these on the side, hide it a little, and zoom in. So this is essentially a CMYK document I was working with, but just because we're live streaming, I wanted the colors to really pop on your screens, whoever is watching. So I changed the color mode to RGB. But I still do have the bleed because I did not change that, and it's really essential to have the bleed in your designs. I'm just gonna go ahead and like start working on it, and as we go, if you guys have any questions, or if you have any questions, Flynn, I'll be happy to answer them.
Cool.
Let's see.
I want to know if this is a Canadian Thanksgiving or if this is US Thanksgiving. Have you
This is
acclimatized?
US. This is US Thanksgiving. The Canadian Thanksgiving already happened actually.
Right. Okay.
I did not celebrate it because we do not celebrate Thanksgiving in my culture, but I'm learning.
And how long have you been in Toronto now?
It's been 6 months now, actually.
Wow.
It's been quite a while.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been a while. Time flies when you're having fun, I guess. All right. I'm gonna bring this to graphics, and then I'm gonna decrease the file size down. Okay, and then maybe I can just like send it to back. But that kind of doesn't work here because I'm in a group. So I'm gonna send it to back again, and there you go. That kind of works. Kind of want to create like a doorway to this turkey, and like, hey, we're gonna eat you, but this is fine.
We're going to eat you,
Oh.
but this is fine. That's great.
No, I'm just kidding over here. These are all fun and games. But yeah, I really like using like rounded rectangles in my designs just because it gives it that variation. Just by adding this like archway shape here, it kind of gives like moves your eye a little, and I'm just like trying to add elements that can help me with that. So maybe I change the color of this guy to be like a darker tone. I can add the date over here. Had kind of licensed two of these turkey let's see here. Where is it? Yeah, so this was actually a series and it kind of had this one first, and I downloaded this first. This is a free image. And then I went ahead and actually licensed this other one that we got with the placard, or I don't know what these are called. And
Like
I
a
think this,
signpost.
yeah, I think this kind
Mm.
of works really better because it kind of works with like what we're trying to say here, because this is like a flyer and you're just sending it out like a personalized flyer for your family. So I'm just like sending it out to my friends and I'm like, okay, let's make it fun, because
Mm.
sometimes that kind of helps. And I think most of the fonts that I'm using today are Adobe fonts, but one of these fonts is actually by this guy called Brandon Nickerson. I have his website right over here. I really love his, he's a graphic designer. I really love his work just because he creates a lot of fun typefaces, and all of these are for sale. So if you want, you can actually, oh, it's in the shop. You can actually go ahead and find all these. Oh, there's a sale going on. Wow. But these are all super fun and very unique, and I feel like the like this rink font is just like $20 and I can use it in possibly 5 of my projects.
Right.
So that $20 is just gonna, I'm just gonna earn that back, and it's like an investment for me. So like I really like using some of these. But he also does like free fonts once in a while. So if you scroll all the way down, it's like, who's gonna will the
Oh my
scroll
gosh,
game?
there's so
There's
many
like
different
free
fonts.
fonts. Yeah, and
Yeah.
then this one is actually free right now, and he posts this on its social media, and you can actually go ahead and download that stuff.
Oh,
Okay,
cool.
let's go back now. All right.
Always good to see
So
like another resource, particularly fonts.
yeah, absolutely. I'm a font holder as well. But this is his font. It's called Maragsa Display. I'm saying that wrong, but yeah, thank you, Brandon. All
Thanks,
right.
Brandon.
I'm just gonna write Thanksgiving here. And just something to make sure when you're printing stuff out is just like point size. I was actually talking about that in a stream earlier today, where I feel like most people don't know what the actual point size to be when printing, but it's always a good idea to ask your printers. But I would still recommend not going lower than 9 points for anything. But since this is essentially going to be like an RGB, maybe I'll just send an email to my family that, hey, we're having a Thanksgiving party. Why don't you come over? So I don't really care about the point size, as long as it like follows the design principles. I feel like it is totally fine for
So
me
as
if
long as
I'm
it's
not
like
printing it.
legible for
Exactly.
however they're going to read it. Yeah, I did a card the other day. Actually, I used Express for it,
Nice.
just to play around with it,
Yeah.
for my son's first birthday, and
Oh,
we were
sweet.
thinking
Happy
about doing
birthday.
it. Yeah, I was just thinking, where are people actually going to see this? And I realized it's going to be all in Messenger. Like
Yeah.
everything's gonna, it's either going to be a text. Everyone's going to see it on their phone. Like no one's going to see
Yeah.
it on their computer or anything. Very unlikely. And it's quite interesting designing for that, because I actually realized I actually need the fonts to be quite big because of how
Yep.
it resizes in chat,
Yep.
in certain chats. So like in iMessage, it doesn't
Yeah.
come up full screen. It shrinks down to maybe a third of the size. And so I did
Yep.
my first little test and sent it through and said, I can't even read this. I can't read this. So I actually had to like increase the font, so that, because I thought, well, people will, obviously they can click into it and it would enlarge,
Yep.
but maybe they won't. I'm thinking I'm dealing with like grandmothers
Yeah.
potentially and
Yeah.
parents,
Yeah.
and not having a dig at the older generation. But what if
Yeah.
they don't click it and they can't see the address or the time or the
Yep.
date? So it's quite interesting thinking about, where will people actually be seeing this? Like, this isn't going to be an A0 poster, it's not going to be a physical,
Absolutely. Yeah.
in certain cases. So I often find that you have to test,
Yeah.
to make sure it
I
actually looks how you want it to look.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. I feel like that's also a thing with like social media. So every time I make something for my Instagram or like a story or something, I have to like export it out and share and see how that looks on a phone screen with like real life scale, instead of like just going by eye and thinking, oh, this looks good. And then it doesn't end up looking good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
always a thing.
And it's interesting when
And
you're doing things on different like applications, like on YouTube, you'll know from doing like YouTube tiles, like you can't
yeah,
really have anything in the top corners because it will get
yeah,
taken over at some point by YouTube's UI. At some points, everything kind of has to be centered. Fun
yeah,
fact about creating YouTube tiles. But it's also like with this, when you send a message, Apple will crop and add their own round corners to the
yeah,
edges. So like
yep,
it's interesting with thinking of like, not digital bleed isn't a real thing, but you know what I mean? Having things in the corners again, it could actually get cut off, or you could have round corners that are a
yep.
different round to like how it's, and it can look a bit funny and look a bit accidental. So yeah, it is
It's kind of
interesting.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is crazy to see. And all of these other platforms actually work differently. And that's where Adobe Express comes in. I was actually going to demonstrate that. Funny you mentioned it. But it's actually going to demonstrate how you can take one design from your Illustrator file, put it in Creative Cloud libraries, and then actually resize that in
Right.
Adobe Express, because that essentially is like a better way to do it, because I can just click on this plus button, say custom size graphic. I have like 1080 by, let's say, 1350. So that's essentially like an Instagram something post, like a post size. So we have this, and now I can just go into my libraries panel. Right now, I don't have anything selected because I'm still working on it. And essentially, I can just make the flyer design in Express as well if I am not making the assets myself,
Mm.
or if I don't need shapes like a star or like custom shapes. But these shapes, like an archway, I'm sure these are also available in Express. I haven't really checked. We should check that. Shapes,
Should find out
arch.
live.
Yeah. Oh, look at
Oh, there
that.
you
It
go.
does have an arch. That looks pretty cool. It does look pretty cool. Oh, maybe you can't resize it then. You can. Okay.
You can.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looks pretty cool. I love that we have the accessibility with like Adobe Express is just like so beautiful, because it just helps anybody, and like even people like me who use Illustrator every day, to like just make it more accessible and friendly and like easier, less time consuming. And I love
Mm.
that about Express. Okay, I'm just expanding and like just making this flyer really quickly just so that I can demonstrate more stuff. But yeah, these are some of my favorite features. I'm essentially using the most basic features, but the fact that I can make a star with any number of points here, I just went to the star tool and I'm pressing my up and down arrow key that you can see on my screen in the bottom center. And if I press the down arrow key, it's going to decrease the number of points I have on the star. But if I press the up arrow key, it's going to increase it to how many ever. I don't even know how much that is,
That's
but
a cool
that's
shortcut.
amazing.
Yeah, that's almost,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. It's brilliant to me how that works. And it's like so crazy. Like, it's just like, like a design asset that you can just put anywhere. And just like,
Mm.
I've seen most of the, like, there was a trend. I don't know what's your take on trends, Flynn, but I saw this kind of design with like very art galleries or museums, and how they have this very kind of like this kind of graphic in them,
Yeah.
like just anywhere. I'm like, what is this? Why is
It's
everybody
around the
using this?
time when like there was a lot of gradients as well, and then
Yeah.
those sort of sharp
Yeah.
shapes over the top.
Yep.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
Not fun. I feel like it's my hot take. Like, I feel like trends are great, and I feel like everybody should get on the trend train just to see what it's all about. But you should never brand something with trends, because it's not gonna last. It's not gonna be a
Never.
lifelong thing. And it's I feel like a lot of people, or like new designers who are just like new in the space, do not probably know about it, and they're like, oh, maybe this is trendy. Maybe we should make a logo like this. But don't ever do that.
Yeah,
Please.
nothing dates your design more than trends.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Like even with from everything from the wording to
Yeah.
like I can't tell you how many trends, like logo trends, now you see something and you see that it's picked up on a trend and you're just
Yep.
thinking, what are they going to do in a year? Like this is going to scream 2020 and no one
Yep.
wants to go back to 2020. Like
Yep. It's
it's
insane.
I remember when people were cutting letters off, cutting the edges off the letters. So if you had like your
Yeah.
E, the descender of an
Oh,
E,
I
you
remember
cut it
that.
off and then
I
you
know
would do it
what you
for all of
mean.
the letters. And just I still see brands, I still see logos that will have that implemented. And I'm like, that was 2013. I know that. Like that's, there's nothing wrong with having an old brand, but it's the opposite of timeless, right? You're
Yep.
putting an expiry date. Yeah, exactly that. Yeah. And you
I know
still
what
see
you're
them
talking
every
about.
now and
Yeah.
then. And it's like,
Yeah.
wow.
Yep.
So yeah, There you go. Extra branding tip in today's stream. I think
Absolutely.
Anika and
Yeah.
I agree there. So
Yeah, I'm just trying to find like a perfect place for this. I can't really see how I can fit this here. Maybe I can just like make live, laugh, love, but like cheer, love, and gratitude. I'm trying to find like a perfect space for this. But maybe this is like the space for it, but it's kind of giving it like that often here with the gratitude, but I don't want that. So maybe okay, maybe that kind of works. I guess we're just gonna go with that for now. We'll change the color.
Johanna in chat
Yeah.
has a question for you. What is your least and most favorite trend? Do you have a favorite?
I have a least favorite.
Yeah, let's go with that. What's your least favorite? I love pet
Okay.
hates.
So have you ever seen, okay, I'm just gonna make like a copy for this. Just to show you what like the trend. Okay. Hello. My name is Anika. I have this text here and I'm just gonna change the color to white so that it's visible. So like this is a perfectly good font, right?
Right.
Why would I take this to my website and then just take like this thing in here which is like name and just change that font in between just to like highlight it?
Oh
Like,
yeah,
do
you
you
see
know
that on a
that?
lot
You
of
know what I'm talking?
website headings.
Yeah,
Yep. Yep.
yeah. It's insane to me. Like, why would you ruin a perfectly beautiful why?
I know exactly what you mean. Yeah. So you see it in the
So
headings
like,
like, "Hi, I'm Flynn Tracy. I'm blah blah from Sydney. I like to work on these
yeah,
projects." But like, yeah, Flynn Tracy will be in like some Windings almost like font, like just
exactly.
completely
So I
out.
have
And yeah,
so I have this and then I have this and then it's just like it's so jarring to see because as much as you think that it highlights your sentence, it kind of looks jarring and I just
yeah,
don't deal. I can't. What? It's not funny. I don't like it. That's my hot take on trends. Current trends.
there you
I
go.
do I do actually like the trend with like illustration and putting everything together with design. That's been going on for a while. So it kind of gives me like a collagey kind of retro feel, and I really love that.
Yeah.
I think that's one of my favorites. How about you? What is your favorite trend?
I'll give you a branding one. I'll give you a branding one.
Yeah.
And my branding one is, I'm not sharing my screen, but is taking the line for a walk. I see it all the time, and I got taught this maybe 10 years ago by someone, and I knew
Yeah.
that it was a thing, but I didn't realize, someone says something and you kind of have a bit of an epiphany.
Yep.
So it's when you're designing some sort of brand, and at some point in the logo, like maybe there's an E, maybe it's like the cats
Yeah.
or something. Let's say
Yeah.
your brand is the
Yeah.
cats, and you see
Yeah.
the E, and you'll see and then so it goes the cats, and then
Yep.
you'll go, well, the E is kind of between the two. So what we'll do is we'll just draw like a crazy squiggly line and put the cats on the top left and the top right, and then that's the brand. And so yeah, someone
Ah.
told me once, and once you see something like that,
Yep.
whenever you see a brand that's done that, I always think, oh, they've taken the line for a walk. And so you just like kind of can do whatever. It's one of those things where someone did it once and it totally
Yep.
worked and it was original and new, but then
Yeah.
it is the same idea duplicated constantly. It's probably not even that bad, but it's a pet hate of mine because it sticks out like
Yeah.
Comic Sans on a poster or something. Like it's just
Yeah.
like I can't look at it.
Yeah. I
That's my
think it's
bougie design criticism.
yeah, it's like it kind of looks jarring. Yeah, I totally understand that. I'm with you on that. There was also this very TikToky trend, which was can't believe I used TikTok as a verb. But
TikToky,
there was
you
a
said.
TikToky, yeah.
TikToky.
There was a very TikTok thing where you would just like make a monogram of sorts, but kind not really, because it's like if the brand name is Anika, you would just like make one logo with like all glyphs in it. So ANIKA in just like a logo form, and that would be your logo. And there was some like people just like
Right.
making this with pen and paper and just like making TikToks of it. And I'm like, what is this? Why is this a trend?
Why is
What's
this a
going on
thing?
here?
Yeah.
All right. So I'm gonna just showcase like intertwine a little bit. I know we have had streams before, but I just wanted to show. Oh wait, I'm not gonna do that. I just wanted to showcase how it can be used with live text and shapes. So all of this is live right now, and this is like I can edit it later. So I can just say music or I don't
Oh,
know.
so it hasn't been expanded or anything. It's still just
Yeah,
live
it's still
text. Yeah.
live. I can
Okay.
still text. I can still change it. So it's like drinks, for instance,
Right.
or whatever. And then I'm just selecting all of this. Now, the one thing to remember about intertwine is that you have to select the whole thing together. You can't add or delete shapes from the group as of now. Treat it like a smart object that can still be editable, but you once you make changes to intertwine, you can't really go back and like add more objects to it. So if I have, let's say, this, and I decide to add like, I don't know, festival, I don't know, just an example. And I've
Mm.
already intertwined this as a group. I can't just go ahead and say that I want to add it here and just edit the intertwine object. So that's not possible. So, like, when you're thinking about intertwine, the number one tip would be right now, because the tool is very new and we're still working on it. And I feel like the team is kind of like taking our feedback as designers or people who are trying it out to see how it's going to go through and what the next steps look like. I feel like the fact that you can do this on your end is really really cool. So I can go to edit, actually go to object, intertwine, and make. There are three options: make, release, and edit. I'm going to click on make and see what happens. Now I have this really cool lasso tool right over here. If I press shift, it's going to convert it to a rectangular tool, which is super cool.
Oh, that's
Rectangular
cool.
selection. Yeah, I'm gonna undo that just because I do not want the rectangle selection for now, but I'm gonna select all of these. Zoom out a little. Go to object, intertwine, make. And I have some of these shapes here that maybe I want behind the star, but I don't want the whole shape to be behind the star. So that's basically the usage. So if you have multiple shapes interacting with each other, but there's like a leaf on top, it's like a Thanksgiving page or whatever, some illustration you're working on. There's like a fairy light something illustration, part of your illustration, and you want some bulbs to be in front of it, some bulbs to be behind the scene, you
Mm.
can use intertwine. That's one of the usages. Most people use it for illustrations, but you do you. You can use illustrations, you can use it in logos, you can use it in monograms. I'm actually going to demonstrate that real quick. But before we do that, I'm just going to show you how that works. So maybe I want to hide this C here, and I just like do this.
Cool.
Not ideal, but just a use case of how that can work. And maybe I want this F to be hidden. That's how that's I think that's some part, because this is still under development and like constant feedback. I think there are some kind of glitches that is totally normal that you can expect, but maybe I did the selection wrong. But let's see. So now I just press Command Z, and this is still a group. There is no intertwine happening, and I want to edit it. So I just go to object, intertwine, and edit. There's also a release option just in case you decide that I want to add festival in this as well. So I can click on release and then bring this guy in. This is on the back. I can bring it to front like this, like so. There's a shift command and close bracket. And now I have all these things. I can go back ahead to object, intertwine, and make. And that's just going to help me with all that again. So, the idea behind this is essentially just like thinking about use cases that you want and how you want to edit it. And over here now, so over here it didn't work because there was more than one object in the group. And
Right.
when that happens, I can essentially go over here and then hover onto this. Oh, that's weird that it didn't show me. But you can ideally go over and hover over the shapes to see if you want to put it behind, send to forward, send to back, or send to front. All of these options are available. I'm going to see if I can do that in another shape here. Maybe I can do this with this guy. Yeah. I'm gonna ungroup this. Ungroup again. And so this is just like a leaf shape that this turkey is
This is
holding.
brave of you
And
because this is a vector that's downloaded from someone else, so you don't know
yeah.
exactly how it's been built. I love it. You're very brave. Let's do it.
So I have this shape which is like just a hand, and I have this which is like a leaf. So I have these two objects and I want to intertwine it. We're gonna see. We're gonna do this live. I'm gonna click on make. And my hack for this right now is going to outline mode and
Mm.
seeing what it is behind, and so I can see all of these shapes, and that's gonna help me like come up with something nicer. And I hope that this works. Okay, not too bad. I miss like some spots here, but maybe we can fix it. So now, even though like the branch is not visible, but the obviously this looks absurd because there's no branch here. How is this leaf coming out of the hand? But that's one of the usages that you can, if you want like part of the shape to be in front of an object, but like a branch behind it. So the leaf is peeking out, but the branch still exists, but it's behind the turkey. So if I press outline mode again, it still exists, but it's just behind this hand. Now, most people think that, oh, it's done, one and done sort of a situation, but you can go ahead and release it, like I mentioned. But you can also go ahead and expand it. So you can go to object, expand, just to see what's behind, what's happening, how does it work, what's the technology behind it. And now if I press Command Y, whoa, that looks crazy. I'm
Whoa.
gonna go back. But if
What
I
happened
select
then?
this, that's crazy. I think it's like this thing kind of acting up. It's like graphic styles over here.
Yeah.
But
Wow. Never seen that before.
that is probably my computer. But we have this shape which is like essentially the shape that I made to bring it in front. And this is like part of it. So I can go ahead and click on ungroup and see how that works. So this is just like a piece of a puzzle, and that's how
Mm.
it works. It essentially works in the background, does the math for you because Illustrator does that for you. And that's essentially how it looks. Now, you can obviously, once it's expanded, you can go ahead and change everything. I can essentially like press A on my keyboard and see how this looks, how this works. That's funny
And you
that it
can
won't
move it.
do.
You can edit it from that point.
I think you should be. I can resize it and everything.
Yeah.
I'm trying to use the direct selection. Yeah, you can. So I can use the direct selection tool to move it. Which is funny, it's not working here, but it's working here. That's so weird.
So you take it
Okay.
away and it starts working. But yeah, isn't
Yeah.
that funny?
Oh wow, that is so funny. It's like I can see the clipping mask in here, which is so cool. So essentially, this is still a clipping mask. What if
Looks
we
like it's
expand this again?
duplicated it. It looks like it's duplicated it as well. So
Yeah, this is so fun. This is so. Oh, it's a clipping mask, so I can release the clipping mask here,
and it's
and it
added
has
in whole new
duplicated
ones.
it.
So yeah, so it duplicates it. Oh, isn't that
It
funny? I didn't
duplicates.
realize the
That
tech
is,
worked that way.
yeah, that is so cool. I just found out. I was today years old when I
Yeah.
found out this is how intertwine works. But it's super cool to see. I feel like this is how I have learned most of Illustrator because I just like to dive deep and like see how it all works and like get in with it. And yeah, voila, this is how you learn. But with that said, that's intertwine. Let's jump into more quick actions because time is
Time
ticking.
is running out. That's right.
Okay, so I'm just gonna take this white text over here just because we're doing something Thanksgiving. I'm just gonna keep this here, go back to my Discover panel right over here. It's the magnifying glass on top. I'm gonna click this button and it opens up this Discover panel. Now, once again, it's good for all of us users. It's good for beginners, intermediate, advanced users just because it's quick. And if you just want to see the look and feel of how a neon style would look like, maybe you can just click on the neon glow effect and you have that text selected. It'll just give you, hey, this is how the neon style will look like. Now you
Cool.
can go ahead to your graphic style and change that. Now the cool thing about this is that you can still go to your appearance panel, which I'm going to look for in just a second, right over here under window and appearance. And these are all the styles that is applied to it to make that graphic style, right?
Mm.
So we have a stroke right here. I'm going to turn that off. We have another stroke, and we have some more, we have some colors, we have some outer glow happening which is helping with the neon effect and reiterating that. So you can essentially see that this is all non-destructive, and that's what I really love about Illustrator. And all these quick actions, while they're still really quick, this is like, by action is essentially means that it's like a pre-recorded action. That's what happened, and if you do all these steps manually, it's still going to work the same. But this is
Yeah, I was
how
going
we're
to
doing
ask
it.
that if the quick actions work the same way as creating your own actions, which is a
i
really
think
great time saver thing.
I think it is that. I think that's how you could do it. But like if I have this shape selected, it has it with like a shape as well. It's almost as if you're applying a graphic style to it. And if you've never used graphic styles in chat, you should definitely check out the styles panel. You can even change the default graphic style by holding option and like if I hold option on my keyboard and drag this in here, it's gonna change every single thing that I draw with the default graphic style of neon. So if you're just creating a bunch of neon graphic styles, this is your way to go. You can make a template file for it, and every time you open your Illustrator with that template, it's gonna throw in the neon file as the default graphic styles. I feel like that's pretty cool. But there's also a bunch of like libraries in here. So what if I have like neon effects? I'm like, oh, what is this? I'm like, neon effects? Let's select this guy or maybe this guy. And like all of these are neon effects. And as I scroll through this, it's just changing whatever I have in here. So it's just applying all the appearances. And the only thing that's changing is the color, if you notice clearly, and also the type. So it's just changing it from orange neon. Some of them have extra things, but mostly it's just color and the point size. That's kind of changing. Point size is also almost the same. Only the stroke size is changing in some of them. So these are all defaults that were already there, but you never knew about it because you never saw the graphic styles. So So I guess this is something that is always there and just hiding behind the scenes. And now you have access. Now you know that this all exists. And as I click on these, it adds it to my panel, and I don't even have to go to the libraries to check it out. So if I close it, I can still apply these signs, the ones that I use right now. That's
That's
about
very cool.
graphics.
Nice.
Yeah, I really love graphic styles. I feel like one of these features is also like the symbol sprayer. That's also like never used. I feel like symbol sprayers is like nobody uses symbol sprayers, and I feel like it's so underrated. It's right over here. I have the symbol sprayer tool. This is the whole panel, and it's crazy. Like I used this the first time on a live stream, and I still remember it. And I got so excited. I'm like, oh, this does so many cool things. So again, you can go to your symbols panel right here, open on a different screen, but we have all of these symbols, right? So I can just click on this, go to the symbol spread, and it's just gonna like make paint splashes or whatever. We have all of these libraries. Let's go to the maps library. Oh, I did not remember that this existed. But you can basically add all of this, like it's literally like spray painting of sorts, and it does increase efficiency of using Illustrator with these, because it's just like instances of the same thing, and it's a referencing to the original symbol that you created. So
Mm.
like this is just like one symbol, and once you expand it, that's when it'll create copies and load your Illustrator file. But as long as it's not expanded an actual effect, it's not gonna load your Illustrator file, which means it's gonna be highly efficient. So I highly suggest that for
Mm.
like repetitive stuff and like stuff like that and usage.
Oh, that's
But
cool. That's actually a really interesting point. I didn't realize that it did that.
yeah,
Um, because it
symbol
would make
sprayer.
sense if you've got something quite complicated and you're trying to spray it a hundred
Yeah,
times in a couple of
yeah,
seconds, then
yeah,
yeah, most computers would fire up, right, or slow down or something. But
absolutely.
that makes a lot of sense. So it's showing you what
Um,
it would look like, but then it hasn't applied it yet.
yes, yes.
Cool. Hey, we've got
Okay.
about 15 minutes left, maybe a little bit less. Just letting you know, and also chat if you've got
Um,
any questions while we're rolling along, any Illustrator or InDesign questions. Here's InDesign.
here's
Let us
InDesign.
know.
Yeah. So I've just jumped into InDesign thinking of time, but I actually created this for an InDesign project I worked on with the Adobe InDesign team. And they wanted me to tell them about all my favorite new features. And I talked about how I can copy paste text from Illustrator into InDesign. And that is pretty cool because I can just go in here. Maybe I have this text and I want like this to be sunsets in Canada, and I can just like go in here, say sunsets. And I realized that I wanted it to be sunsets in Canada, but I copied this here, and then I brought this into my InDesign file. I'm gonna delete this for a second, and I hit paste. And over here you can see that there is like a little thumbnail in here which says
Mm.
paste text only. There is something which says paste with formatting. If I click on that, it's just gonna get in all the formatting I had in the Illustrator file,
Oh, wow. Is that
and
new?
that is new. Yes, that
Yeah.
is in the 2023 release.
Cool.
And it's not just the Illustrator file you copy stuff from. I have this pages file right over here. And this has, I think this is Helvetica. So if I copy paste this in here and I bring this in, it says the same options. And if I click on formatting, it changes that to Helvetica again. So
Oh,
I
that's
can see,
really cool.
yeah, so it's not just Illustrator. As per that's like a myth. There is only copy paste from Illustrator, but it copy paste from all the other formatting. So it's like a universal thing. And then it's also editable, so I can go in here and like edit it as much as I want. I can also change like the type, and I can change the font size as well. I'm gonna change it to my workspace. Sorry, there's a custom workspace. Wow, all the panels are everywhere. um,
Is this how you work? Just with panels everywhere?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. But yeah, so this text is still editable. I feel like this is a super fun feature because sometimes we just like forget how like we I just feel like this should have always been there. And I agree and like absolutely thrilled to see that this is actually a feature now, and I don't have to like paste text or like copy paste it and then lower the opacity and write it again here, because people who are more comfortable in Illustrator probably make their designs in Illustrator and then beautify it or like make it for print in InDesign again. And that's
Mm.
just like easing my workflow if I do this. This also brings me to this new feature which is like auto style, and I love it. I can't emphasize enough how much I love it. It's under Windows styles and then style packs. And if I click on it, these are all the default. This is all Adobe Sensei powered. So these are all the style packs that are available, and it automatically detects what you're pasting into it. So if I go to my paragraph styles, let's see, window, type. Oh, it's open. Interesting. Where is it? Oh,
It's somewhere.
yeah, it is somewhere.
That's what happens when you have 100 panels.
Absolutely. Yes. I feel like this just makes it easier for me to look for things.
I like it.
But I'm gonna go back to my pages and I have this heading here and I have some paragraphs here. Let's see how InDesign works if I do this. I'm gonna press Command C, press Command V, and then it gives me, if it's like more than a certain number of words, of course it's going to give you a style pack because it's going to identify that there are paragraphs in here, there is line space, there is a return key in here, and that's what means that's when I have to apply a style pack. That's because InDesign is intelligent. So you can either paste it without formatting, which is the default. The second is with formatting, which is just going to get the format that you had in pages. And then there is auto style text. If I click on this, it's reading and Adobe Sensei is working in the background, and it's going to give me this, which is the first style pack that's available. You see this overset text right over here because the text area is too small for the text that I have. So let's make that bigger so that it can fit into it. And voila, I didn't even have to do anything. Now, of
Wow.
course, this may not be the favorite thing. I don't want red in my design. Perhaps that doesn't go with my color scheme. So you can have this selected and you can select a different style pack. I can go ahead and click this guy and it's going to change it. I have this other one. These are all defaults. And the beauty with this is that you can make your own style packs as well. So I had this guy in here, which is like a default and kind of goes with the minimalistic look that I have with my design. So I really did not have to do much. Sorry, I got it out of my InDesign. Okay, there you go. And that's essentially how you can use style packs.
That's really cool. I need that for slide decks.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
But maybe
And
I
over
could
here,
maybe I could make an InDesign template for slide decks.
yes, and then sell it on your website.
Yeah. Wow.
um, so this is essentially how it looks like inside. I have selected tuxedo, and tuxedo has a style for heading. It has something for subhead, paragraph, list, and ordered list. Now these are all paragraph styles that are created by default. And if I go in here, I can select this guy and change how it looks. So I can change the basic text format in here as well. But what I can do is essentially create my own paragraph style. So if I go to this hamburger menu on top, I can click on this and click on new style pack and call it Anika. Wait, it works. Anika. And it says copy style from what? I always say don't base it on the basic paragraph when you're using paragraph styles in InDesign because everybody's default font is different. So if you
Mm.
base your paragraph style on a basic paragraph style, which is essentially the default in your InDesign version or your local copy of the product, you will see inconsistencies when you send it off to like a client or someone in your team. They're using a different version. Their local machine has different defaults. Maybe they messed around with the template. So it's always a good idea to have like not the basic font in there. All
Mm.
right, I am gonna
Interesting.
base it off to heading, subhead, and I can always go back and change all of this. So maybe I can go ahead and like mix and match in here. And actually, you know what? Let's pick it up from all different styles just to see how that works, and then we can change it. And the last one is an ordered list. I'm gonna click OK, and now we have this paragraph style Anika right here. I have this text box selected, and I'm just gonna click on this guy and click on this play button. And there you go. That's the style that we created and it works. Wow.
That's cool. Hey, it works.
Yeah, it works.
It's always good.
Yeah, I feel like this is like super handy when it comes to stuff like this because if you're doing some repetitive tasks like Flynn just mentioned that you have like slide decks and if you do it over and over again, I think style packs are a really really cool thing. But how much time do we have left? Let's see.
So we have, say, about 5 or 6 minutes today. Wow, it's gone quick.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. So I'm just gonna give like a quick run through of Adobe Express because I feel like I want to show some love to Adobe Express as well.
Yeah, let's do it.
Um, so this is like a Creative Cloud library that I've created. It's called Adobe Live APAC Thanksgiving, and I just added some text on it, and I'm just gonna click and drag all of my text just to show you how multiple pages and content scheduler can work. So I'm actually gonna go ahead and add this whole graphic just to show you how that looks because you're short on time. So I am going to go to my Adobe Express. I'm going to go to home page just to show the landing page. And I can click on this plus icon right here and choose anything that I want from the quick actions, or I can go to Instagram post and click on this button. It's going to create an artboard size that I can click and resize later if I want. I can click on this resize button, see that the size is 1080 by 1080. Maybe I want that, maybe I don't. But if I don't, I can go to resize and select my custom size, and I maybe want the width to be 1350 because I want to span it to the whole page. On your phone screen, I'm gonna go to libraries, and then these are all the Creative Cloud libraries that we have. Sorry, I clicked out of it, but
So
you
these are
can
your
essentially.
libraries. These are libraries that you've created for different projects.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So since I'm logged in from my same account that I have with all the applications, I'm gonna click in here and it's gonna grab all the assets that we had. I
Cool.
can click the view all button, and if I click on this asset, it's just gonna prop it over to my screen. And then it's gonna take like a second to render out, and it's gonna be crystal clear in a sec, but I can actually resize it and like align it to the screen that I have. And there you go, voila, we have something that we created in Illustrator now ready to be posted to Content Scheduler. You can do the same thing in Express if you're more comfortable with it, or if you don't have Illustrator and you want to do something, you can just get the Express plan and make something similar in Adobe Express.
Mm.
And then you can click the calendar button right here and schedule your content. So these are essentially the channels where I can post my stuff to. This is my Twitter, Instagram. You can connect your Facebook, Pinterest, and even LinkedIn, which is super cool. And then you can see what media we have added. Oh, there's some white space I forgot to change. But you can go in here and add alternate text as well, which is very, very, I think accessibility is really important and
Oh,
Adobe
that's great. You
Express.
can do it straight from here. Okay, cool.
Exactly.
Mm.
Yeah. And then you can add a caption. You can even add hashtags, whatever, Adobe Live, let's say, for instance. And then say Anika. And then you can add emojis in here as well. So all of these. And then you can preview your text as well once you select whatever channel you want. So maybe I want it posted to Twitter. This is how it's going to look at Twitter, because Twitter sizes are not this size. That's why it's cropping some things off. But if I have Instagram, and I'm going to click on preview right over here, and that's how it's going to look. Again, this is going to show me 1080 by 1080 because that's how it looks on a grid. But essentially, this is how you can schedule your posts. You can go to time and you can draft the post as well. So if I click on add draft, it's never going to post it. It's just going to make like a draft post, just like a draft email. But yeah, that is how Adobe Express works.
That's cool. And I think that was one of the main things that we saw from Adobe Max, a lot of people, because it was demoed on the main
Yeah.
stage, I think for the first time, and
Yeah.
just showing how you can schedule posts as well from within.
Yeah.
A lot of people didn't know about that. And I think that's like a really valuable like thing to utilize. Like if you're a creative designer, like even just using the scheduler in there can add so much value. I remember back in the day, we used to pay a lot for social media schedulers.
Yeah.
A little bit expensive to do, but hey, you can just jump in there and try it out. It's really cool.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love Adobe Express, and the content scheduler is a lifesaver. I actually scheduled something and I forgot that I did, and it posted it to Twitter,
I saw
which
that.
is a
I
surprise.
saw that, and someone replied to you, and you said, "Oh, if you didn't reply to this, I
Yeah.
wouldn't have actually known
Yeah.
that I posted this because I just said
Yeah.
it and forget it." That's too funny.
Yeah. That is not intended. Yeah, but this is it for me today. Thank you so much for having me, Flynn. This is
Great.
amazing. I always love to stream with you, and like I am so honored that I get to show the new features, the old and the new, always the favorites.
It's
Yeah.
so cool. Yeah, you have such a depth of knowledge of Illustrator. Illustrator is one of my favorite apps, but yeah, you're jumping around those menus like you're playing the piano. So that was really cool to see. Nice to have a little bit of Adobe Express peppered in there as well. And you may have brought me back to reinstalling InDesign to make some slide decks
Yes.
after that. After that
Mission
presentation,
accomplished.
it's so funny when you think of apps and what you use them for. I just, I didn't never publish anything or print anything, so I never use InDesign. But every now and then someone shows a feature and like, oh, I think I need to play around with that. That could save me a lot of time.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up, where can people find you? Do you want to, can you bring up your Instagram or website so we can just have a quick check before we
Yeah, absolutely. I
before we
am
jump off?
available at ANIKAAGG all everywhere. So if you go to b.net/ANIKAAGG, this is also my website. I just added like a bio site, but you can go to AnikaAggarwal.me, which will essentially take you over to all of the things that we have that are important.
All of the things.
All of the things, but there's some reels that I'm working on. If you guys want to check that out as well. So yeah, super fun times everywhere.
Very cool. Well, check it out. Thanks everyone for joining us. We'll be back next week. We're actually diving into 3D with Alwyn Hunt. We're going to check out the brand new modeler app as well.
Nice.
Maybe even a bit of VR stuff if we can get the tech to work. So tune in next week for some of that. Anika, I hope to see you there. And thank you again. Thank you so much for joining us for Adobe Live. Great to hang out with you.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was really fun. Thanks for having me, Flynn.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Take care.